Hello, this is Kate from dailytarotgirl.com, and this is your weekly tarot card reading. And for this reading, I'm using the Crystal Visions Tarot. Okay, so I'm going to draw a card for each section of the upcoming week, just to give us kind of a little bit of insight into the energies, the opportunities, and the challenges of the next few days. Okay. So let's start with the first card, which represents Monday and Tuesday. Okay, so right away we've got Three of Swords. Now, Three of Swords typically is associated with that feeling of heartbreak or that feeling of betrayal. But what it actually means for us going into this week is that we're going to be more sensitive coming into the week, and we also might be a little more likely to take things personally and see other people's behavior as being sort of an affront to our egos in a way. So sometimes that feeling of betrayal and that feeling of, oh, poor me, I've been wronged, sometimes it can come up when we're really kind of entrenched in our egos, and when we really want to be feeling sort of strong and bold and successful, and then something happens that kind of derails us a little bit. So I see this as kind of a minor, definitely a minor card. I don't feel like this is something to be super concerned about, but I think it's something to be aware of. So just being aware that you might be a little more sensitive coming into the week, and always be certain that you really examine your feelings and your thoughts, particularly your thoughts, because your thoughts often create your feelings, and there's a strong link between your thoughts and your feelings. So if you start off the week and you're feeling a little bit down, or you're feeling upset at someone, or you're feeling hurt or in pain, really take a look at the thoughts that are causing that pain, and some of the thoughts that you have, or the beliefs that you have about that other person or what happened or yourself, and really go deep with it and really examine and ask yourself whether your thoughts are really true. Can you know that they're true? And what if are you certain that they're true? And what if you didn't have those thoughts? What would your life be like? And just really kind of examine some of your thoughts in connection to your feelings. And then as we move on to the middle of the week, so Wednesday and Thursday, we've got King of Pentacles. So while the beginning of the week challenges us to be more self-aware, the King of Pentacles has a very, he has more of a, I want to say an outward energy. He has more of a masculine energy. He's very stable, he's very strong. So anything that happens in the beginning of the week, any kind of like feeling of being unstable or being depressed or upset, that seems to evaporate by the middle of the week with the King of Pentacles. So King of Pentacles, he's very confident. So I feel like many of us are going to be experiencing or stepping into that role of, experiencing our own confidence and being confident, being really stable, being grounded, particularly in areas of money, investments, finances, and business and work. Now I just want to look at this card. I feel like there's something else more that I need to say about him. I'm not sure. I'm going to come back to him. I want to move on to the end of the week. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And here we have the Nine of Swords. Okay, so Nine of Swords. Nine of Swords is often about feeling worried or feeling anxious. So being kind of kept up at night thinking about something. And it usually happens when we're very much in our heads about something and really like overthinking things. And if you've ever had that feeling where you feel like if you think about a problem enough, you're going to solve it, but instead of solving it, you just keep thinking about it and thinking about it and thinking about it and feeling worse and worse and worse. That is basically what the Nine of Swords represents. So it's interesting that Here we have the King of Pentacles in the middle, who's very strong, he's confident, he's earthy, and then he's flanked by these two cards, which are all about the mind and how we perceive things and how we look at things. So at the core of this week, we have the King of Pentacles. So at the core of the week, we have that ability to tap into that part of ourselves that is very sensible, that is calm. So the King of Pentacles is very sensible. He's calm, he's rational, he's level-headed. He's not the kind of guy whose feathers can get ruffled easily. You know, he takes things slow, he thinks things through. He's also somewhat intuitive and you know, connected to the rhythms of the earth. And when we think about the Suit of Swords, it's all about thoughts and mental, you know, the capacity to think about things, which can be a good thing. And it can also be a bad thing if we take it to the extreme and spend too long there and if things get out of balance. So I feel like the theme of this week really is to know that there might be a temptation to really go into the mind and get lost in thinking, whether it's the kind of thinking like with the Three of Swords, which is like, oh, poor me, things aren't working out, this is so painful and horrible, that kind of thinking, to the kind of thinking of the Nine of Swords, which is like constant worrying and trying to solve problems by thinking about them over and over and over again. So knowing that there might be that tendency to get lost in that kind of thought, and knowing that in the middle here is the King of Pentacles. So knowing that you have that stability and strength and confidence and earthy groundedness to come back to when you find yourself getting kind of pulled in the more mental direction where you're thinking about things constantly. So I just want to tune into these cards a little deeper and see if I'm getting any other messages. I feel like ultimately this is a week of introspection. A lot of introspection is happening, but at the same time, you're going to be challenged to make some big decisions. And I say that because I'm looking at the King of Pentacles, and for me, he's signifying some big decisions. And you might have a lot of self-doubt when it comes to making those decisions. You might not know what choice to make. You might not know if you have enough experience or knowledge to make the right decision. So there's going to be a lot of introspection going on, but ultimately you have, you know what you're doing. You might not think you know what you're doing, but you definitely know what you're doing. And you have more confidence and know-how than you think you do in this situation. Okay, so yeah, another thing that's jumping out actually is that the two women on either side of the King of Pentacles are facing away from him in different directions. Both of them have their eyes closed, and they're both fairies. They have fairy wings, and they're kind of slight women, like they're thin and kind of wispy. They've got their fairy wings. They're kind of sleeping. They've got their eyes closed. The King of Pentacles, he's facing us head on. He has both his feet on the ground. He has his eyes open. He's looking right at us. He's, you know, more sturdy looking than the two women. So I feel like, again, the theme here of this week is kind of balancing out that part of yourself that is like these fairies, that's kind of like a little bit flighty and wrapped up in their own thoughts and don't have their eyes open to what's actually going on around them. Because that happens when we get lost in our own heads. We aren't paying attention to what is actually happening around us. So sometimes our inner experience of what's going on isn't always accurate about what's really going on. So I think it's balancing that tendency with our inner kind of King of Pentacles, so that part of ourself that's stable, that's rational and calm, and knows exactly what needs to be done in this situation. So that has been your tarot reading for the week, so I hope you found that helpful. Once again, my name is Kate. I'm from dailytarotgirl.com, and you can check out my website for free tarot card spreads, learning videos, tips, all kinds of fun tarot exercises. And please leave me a comment. Let me know about your interpretation of these cards, and have a